Hey, hey, this is your Swedish teacher saying hi to you again as we are about to have our lesson number 3. This time, we are not going to talk about the verbs or the word order in statements or in questions. This time, we are going to touch upon a very important and essential topic in Swedish, one more essential topic in Swedish, that is pronunciation, the alphabet, and some special sounds. In other words, all the way from A till Ö. And I have also prepared some additional material that we should be able to revise. But first things first, that is the alphabet. I believe that there is no reason for us to wait any longer, and that's why we can start. So, the alphabet, or alfabetet. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Gabriela, could you please tell us what is the difference between, say, the English alphabet and the Swedish alphabet? Well, I have to be honest with you, and it's very difficult to provide a precise answer to this question because, first of all, we have a bunch of different sounds that might sound really alien to you. But first of all, we have 3 special letters and consequently 3 special sounds. We might call them umlauts, right? These sounds are provided for you at the very end of the alphabet, right? So we have the letter A with a bubble above it, the letter A with 2 dots above it, and similarly the letter O with 2 dots above it. And now the pronunciation is as follows. The letter A with the bubble is pronounced as or. Or. So it's a long, open, round, nice or. Then we have the letter A with 2 dots above it, and the pronunciation is ah, right? Long, open ah. And then we are left with the letter O with 2 dots above it, and we pronounce it as uh. Now, I can't help but mention that foreigners usually make fun of this letter and of the sound. Can you guess why? Usually what foreigners say is that they associate this letter and this sound with the disgust, or when we want to express disgust, something when we say or So if this helps you to associate this letter with the correct pronunciation, there you go. Okay, but let's come back to the very beginning of our alphabet. And I suggest that we take this alphabet and go through it by going through 3 separate columns. So let's take the first one, right? I hope that you have nothing against parrots. Yes, that's right. I've just mentioned the word parrots because this is exactly the role that you are about to take upon. I am of the belief that the possibility of learning a new language without being willing to practice, to repeat after your teacher is practically nil. Therefore, I sincerely hope and I kindly ask you to repeat after me so that we can produce the correct sound. Okay? Right. So the first letter is A. A. Now, the Swedish A is something between A and O. What I usually say to my students is imagine the short sound A and O and produce something in the middle. It's as if you prepare your mouth and your lips to produce the letter O, but instead you produce the long letter or sound A. O. O. Because the letter A is more round in Swedish, right? Not exactly A. Instead, we say O. O. Let's move further. Then we have beer. Beer. Sia. Sia. Dia. Dia. Ia. Ia. F. F. Gia. Gia. H. H. I. I. And Ye. Ye. Now, you might be wondering, why exactly do we have a letter J indicated above the E in the brackets? Well, this is simply because that we have something that reminds us of the sound ye. When we produce the sound E, that is E, it's as if we can feel it, something that is left, something that reminds us of the sound ye, but it's not fully there, right? And the same is applied to the letter J. Ye. Ye. Okay, let's move on to the second column, right? And we start with the sound or with the letter K, and we pronounce it as core. Core. L. L. I would like to stop here for a minute real quick. So letter L in Swedish is always soft. Always soft. It is never going to be L as in English. It is always soft. L. If any of you speak Russian, I suggest that you imagine or visualize the mekki znak before it, right? L. Then we have M, M, N, N, O, O. Now with the W above the letter O, this is exactly the same thing as we had with letter E and ye, meaning that we have something that reminds us of the W, but it's not fully there. There's some of it, right? O. Then we have pia, pia, kö, kö, r, r, s, s, tia, tia. And it's time for us to take column number 3, the most difficult one, right? The letter O is pronounced as uv, uv, via, via, dubbelvia, dubbelvia, as in double V, X, X, Y, Y. Now, this is a sound that requires special attention, right? Because this is not exactly E, this is not exactly Ö. My recommendation is the same as I told you with the letter R, right? You prepare your lips and your mouth to produce the letter O, right? But instead of producing O, you produce the sound E. 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 Right? I very hope that you are repeating after me. Now, another piece of advice that I was given when I was a student is that my professor advised us to take a pen, right? Take a pen and put it above your lips. It's as if that when you pronounce the sound "e," your upper lip should provide some kind of help to hold the pen, right? So it's like "e, e." Okay. Let's move on further. We have säta, säta, å, ä, and ö. And that is how we are done with the alphabet. But my opinion is that there is never enough of revision. So let's go through the whole alphabet at once. Okay, so once again, I kindly ask you to repeat after me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, Ö, V, W, X, Y, Z, Å, ä, and ö. And one more time, let's listen to a native Swede pronouncing all these letters.
Alfabetet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, Å, Ä, Ö.
Let's see what's waiting for us next. Have you ever thought of why spelling might be so important? For example, whether we want to spell our name. Check whether you can spell your name or kolla om du kan stava ditt namn. Now we have to think of two possible questions that we might be asked or that we would like to ask other people. And these questions are as follows. Vad heter du I efternamn? What is your surname? And vad heter du I förnamn? What is your name? So we have two different nouns. Ett efternamn, surname, and ett förnamn, simply a name or your first name. Ett förnamn. Now, you might be wondering, so what exactly is the difference between vad heter du and vad heter du I efternamn? Basically, the answer is the register. This way of asking somebody's name is very formal. So you're going to find these questions either in some kind of a form. For example, you are at a hospital or at a bank and somebody, some kind of employee is asking for you to fill in the form. So this is the kind of question that you're going to see. Or let's say a hypothetical situation. You are in Sweden and you would like to book a table, right? Make a reservation at some kind of restaurant. What do you have to do? You have to provide your name. And believe it or not, Swedes also have difficulties when it comes to understanding names and surnames of people that come from different cultures, different countries. So this is where spelling comes in really handy, right? So we have two possible questions, and then what are the answers? The answers are as follows. Mitt efternamn Andersson, or jag heter Andersson I efternamn. So what we can do is use two different verbs. That is the verb to be, my surname is Andersson. Or we might use the verb to be called. Jag heter Andersson I efternamn. I am called Andersson in my surname, if you would like to have a word-for-word translation. Right? So two possible ways. Either mitt efternamn or jag heter I efternamn. Right? Next set of questions is how do you spell it? Right? Hur stavar du det? How do you spell it? Or hur stavas det? Hur stavas det? How is it spelled? Now, question number 4 is constructed by means of applying passive construction, but let's not get too much into detail with active and passive constructions. For you, it really suffices to know that there are two possible ways of asking this question. Hur stavar du det? Hur stavas det? How is it spelled? Right? And let's say we have the surname Andersson. What about if we have to spell it? Are you ready to do it together with me? Let's do it. Right? So beginning with the first letter. A, N, D, E, R, S, S, or simply dubbel S, O, N. And that's how we have Andersson. Andersson. I think that it is a very good opportunity for you to practice spelling your name and surname. And this is what you can do. You might stop this recording and do this on your own. Så vad heter du i efternamn och hur stavar du det? But we move on further. Now, when it comes to pronunciation, another very important thing to know is vowels in Swedish, or vokaler i svenskan. We have two groups of vowels, that is hard vowels and soft vowels, right? We have 4 hard vowels. These are letters A, O, U, and O, right? Letter A with 1 bubble. Contrary to hard vowels, there are 5 soft vowels. That is E, I, Ö, Ä, and Ö. And there are some very, very important rules that you should memorize in order to differentiate between these vowels, right? So, right, we have 2 sets of rules. Now, what we have to think about is the letters G, K, and the combination of letters SK, right? This is very important because the pronunciation of all of these letters changes based on the vowels that go after them, right? So when the letter G stands before a hard vowel, for example, A in gata, it is pronounced as it is. It does not change. The pronunciation is G, gata. The same is applied to letter K and the combination SK. In kat, we have had vowel A or A, and then SK, for example, in skola, a school, in skola, right? We have hard vowel O or U, right? In gata, a street. In kat, a cat. In skola, a school. Now, let's take a look what happens when these letters, G, K, and the combination of SK, stand in front of a soft vowel. For example, soft vowel I. For example, gift. Gift. What do we have? We have a change that sound, the letter G changes into sound Y, right? Gift. Then the letter K changes into sound sh, as in Kina or China, Kina. And then the combination SK changes into sound ch, skiner. Skiner is shining or shines. So gift, married, Kina, China, and skiner is shining or shines, right? So whenever we have a G, K, or SK, and then they are followed by a soft vowel, G changes into Y, K changes into sh, and SK changes into ch. Now, the vowels in Swedish are not only grouped into hard and soft, but also into long and short. So what is the rule? Long or short vowel? Or lång eller kort vokal? The rules are quite simple. We have a long vowel when this vowel is followed by one consonant only, or when it stands alone. And we have 2 examples. The verb ta, it is standing here in imperative. That means go and take something, right? Ta, take. And mobil, a phone, mobil. So what I'm doing here is that I'm accentuating, I'm putting extra emphasis on the vowel A and E, right? Now, what happens? When do we have a short vowel? we have a short vowel when that vowel is followed by a double consonant, right? The formula is vowel plus consonant plus consonant. For example, tack, tack, thank you, or thanks, and penna, penna, a pen, penna. What I'm doing here, it's as if I'm accentuating the consonant. I'm stressing the consonant instead of the vowel. So the vowel then becomes short. Tack. It's as if I'm making a short pause on the consonant as well. Tack, penna, penna, right? And these are two rules in order to know whether we have a long vowel or a short vowel. Now that we have talked quite a lot when it comes to pronunciation, it's time for some revision. And revision is going to be related to pronouns or pronomen, right? Let's revise them. We have pronouns as follows. Here on the left, we have translation, we have Swedish translation, then we have English translation, and some examples as well. Så jag, I. In some other dialects, you might as well hear the pronunciation as jag. Do you remember? In our second lesson, I told you that this is the same thing that we might apply when we have question words. For example, vad, var, var, var. So here, this is the same situation. Jag or jag. Du, you. Hon, she. Han, he. Vi, we. Ni, you, meaning that we are referring to a group of people. De, they. De. And some examples. Jag heter Andersson i efternamn. Du heter Andersson i efternamn. Hon heter Andersson i efternamn. Han heter Andersson i efternamn. Vi heter Andersson i efternamn. Ni heter Andersson i efternamn. And finally, de heter Andersson i efternamn. What we might notice, having read all of these examples, is that, first of all, the surname does not change, despite the fact whether we are talking about a female or a male, right? Hon heter Andersson i efternamn and han heter Andersson i efternamn. So this is something different than from what we have in Russian, for example. And then you might as well notice that the verb stays the same, which means that the ending does not change for all persons. This is what also makes Swedish a relatively easy language. And let's move on then. What do we have next? Of course, we have a short exercise. It's time for us to test ourselves. Testa dig själv, right? Here in this blue rectangular, you have pronouns, but they are mixed, right? They are not written in the correct order. And you have two exercises, exercise A and exercise B, or A and B. Right? In exercise A, you have to provide the translation, right? So just check your short memory, how good you remember the pronouns. And then in exercise B, you have to fill in the gaps with the correct pronouns based on the context that you have, right? And that is it. You have 40 seconds for the task, and good luck. Your time starts now. music slowly fading away means that your time's up. Let's check the facit or answer key. Right? So exercise A. She, hon, he, han, we, vi, they, dom, I, jag och jag, you, du, you plural, ni. Now exercise B. Anna kommer från USA. Hon talar engelska och tyska. We should insert the pronoun hon because we are referring back to Anna and she is a female, right? So Anna comes from the US. She speaks English and German. Han heter Andreas because we have Andreas. It's a male name. Han. Jag och Daniel är gifta. Vi bor i Grekland nu. Vi, because we have jag och Daniel. I am and Daniel are married. We live in Greece right now. Grekland, Greece. Adam och Lena är lärare. De jobbar i Ystad. De, because we have Adam och Lena. Adam and Lena are teachers. En lärare is a teacher. They work in Ystad. That is it for the exercise. So let's summarize. Today we have learned, idag har vi lärt oss 3 different things. To spell our name and surname, right? Hur stavar du det? How do you spell it? Och hur stavas det? How is it spelled? And to differentiate between soft and hard, as well as long and short vowels. Do you remember the rules for hard vowels and soft vowels? Right? Long vowel, for example, mobil, and short vowel, for example, penna, when we accentuate the consonant, penna. And then, lastly, to use pronouns, right? And it's time to wrap our lesson up with vocabulary. Pronouns. Jag, du, han, hon, vi, ni, dom. Nouns. Ett efternamn, a surname. Ett förnamn, a name. En gata, a street. En katt, a cat. En skola, a school. Kina, China, because we have a soft vowel E. En mobil, a phone. En penna, a pen. En lärare, a teacher. Verbs, stavar, skiner, har, and jobbar. Gift is married, and tack, thank you, or thanks. And believe it or not, that is it with our lesson number 3, right? So starkt jobbat, well done.